Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 10th day of March 2023, Friday of the second week of Lent. It is the 13th day of Lent. Coming to you again from the courtyard of our school, the Franciscan school, the great statue of St. Francis and the Wolf Gubbio over there. But the red bud, can't get enough of the red bud because it's so beautiful. It's coming into bloom over here, so I decided to come back over here. Besides, it was a rainy morning, and so I just drove the length of the campus to come over here. So the car's parked over here, so I got to stay over here to take the car back. Anyway, it's a cool day, and it's going to be cool today and a little bit rainy, but we're not going to get the snow, I guess, that some of the other country is experiencing. So that's a good thing because Carolina doesn't know how to deal with snow, although hockey is number one here. Anyway, contradictions abound in our life all over the place. Let's see. It is also the last Friday of Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow night, we launch into Daylight Savings Time. Put your clocks forward 1 hour. We lose 1 hour of sleep as we spring into spring. As we spring forward into spring. So just remember that. Our last day today, though, our last Friday of Eastern Standard Time. In the Gospels, in the readings today for the Friday of the second week of Lent, Genesis brings us the story of the fantastically obnoxious Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, made famous by Andrew Lloyd Webber in the musical of the same name. And again, Joseph, who is beloved by Jacob, the favorite son of Jacob, Jacob's other sons despise Joseph because he is so favored. Why does Jacob have favorites? All kinds of things like that. And they decide that they need to do away with him because he is such an obnoxious pain in the rear. And so while they are out tending flocks or something like that, or herds or whatever it is, Joseph comes along and they tie him up and they throw him into a well, and they sell him off to some Ishmaelites, get a wandering band of people who are going down to Egypt, and they take Joseph to Egypt. What happens next remains to be seen. But again, this whole idea of one who is favored, unfortunately taking that favoritism and turning it into favoritism and not allowing it to be something that searches for goodness, but actually becomes something that turns to arrogance a bit and obnoxious behavior. But how does God still deal with that? How does God address that? And what will God do with Joseph remains to be seen. Question is always, when we do experience favor, when we do experience love, perhaps that is beyond all telling, and that is love that allows us to know more about us. Do we use it as something that allows us to enrich the lives of others, or do we keep perpetuating it to enrich our own life? Because if it is the latter, it is not a good thing. In Matthew's Gospel, we have an equally powerful, not contradictory, but an equally powerful narration of what it is that Jesus sees is happening with his message and with those who are not listening to his message. And so the parable of the vineyard owner and the tenants, in which there is this vineyard, which is leased to tenants to plant and till and create and make the produce happen of grapes to make wine and stuff like that. And the tenants decide they're not going to give the produce to the vineyard owner, which is, again, odd, and it's a very interesting kind of move. And the vineyard owner sends people to get the produce, and they kill and they destroy all the people who come. But then he sends his son, thinking that they will respect his son, and they decide to say, this is the heir. If we kill him, we will inherit everything, which is an odd kind of logic that doesn't make much sense. And so they do so. And Jesus then poses the question to the scribes and Pharisees who are listening to this parable, what will the vineyard owner do? And they basically say, well, he'll put those wretched tenants to a wretched death. And Jesus says, and the same's going to come to you if you don't listen to what I have to say. Pretty chilling. And again, a kind of a gospel passage where there is sort of imminent destruction that is foreshadowed, or that is forecast upon the people who are not listening to what he has to say, primarily the scribes and the Pharisees, who are, again, constantly antagonistic towards Jesus' message, and they constantly try to dispute it and not believe it, and just make it into something that's ridiculous and foolish. They fail every time, but they don't give up trying to do that. So again, this whole question will be: is God a God of vengeance? Is God a God who wants to punish? Is God a God who wants to hurt? Well, that remains to be seen, and it will not be seen until the resurrection. and we have to wait until the resurrection to see how this very chilling incident in Matthew's gospel, it's also in Mark's and in Luke's gospel, how this chilling scenario plays out. So kind of keeping that in mind as we move further and further into Lent, and as we move into daylight savings time, is always conscious for us to be aware of the fact that those who refuse to listen to what the gospel has to say are basically working at their own undoing, are trying very way to stifle something that cannot be stifled, trying to stop something that cannot be stopped. And for us to remember and to believe that is supposed to give us in some ways courage. It's supposed to give us some ways a sense of will and a sense of purpose to continue, not just to endure in faith, but to persevere in faith, knowing that God will never be undone, that God will never fail in God's promises to us, that God will bring us what it is that we need so that we may live a life that is full and holy and glorious. And may the Lord give you his peace.